How's it going, metalheads, and welcome back to another video. I don't really like talking about current events and trends and stuff like that. You guys know it's not how my channel normally is. And I also hate doing videos about those kinds of things even after I've watched somebody else's, because, I feel like doing any sort of thing like that, like if I watch like a top 10 list and then try to make my own video on the same top 10 list, it doesn't really work because they just put a bunch of ideas in my head. But I feel like this subject was something I wanted to talk about, besides all of that, because for many reasons. But it's also just, kind of an interesting thing in general. I don't know what day it was. Yesterday, maybe the day before. Right-wing political commentator, Daily Wire, host, Matt Walsh, put out a video explaining how rock music is dead. Yeah, I don't know what I saw it. I didn't watch the video at first, but I was very confused why those two things overlapped. I don't like politics in my music, so I was confused at first. But then I saw that the Metal Meltdown did a video on it, watched his video, then went and watched the original video. Yeah, I got a few things to say about it. Obviously I'm not here to talk about current stuff, but as a person who did watch Matt Walsh in the past and still do, to some degree, obviously I'm not Republican, also not Democrat. I'm not religious. I am not a different, sexual orientation. I'm a straight guy, white guy. I'm pretty average, I don't have a whole lot going on in terms of, like personal beliefs in that sort of area. So I try to get stuff from all different areas, I watch him. I also watch, Democratic, like news sources and stuff. I look at that stuff. I think that every religion, whether it's, Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, all those kinds of things, the stuff that I looked into has valid points that I agree with. As much of the stuff with, being gay, bisexual, transgender, all that stuff that I don't understand, I think they still have some valid points, about being yourself, all that kind of stuff. So what I'm trying to say is I take in perspectives from all across the spectrum and try to absorb as much as I can, because I feel like that's a great way to form your own opinions. So I have watched Matt Walsh in the past, and I agree with some of the stuff he said. However, I definitely vehemently disagree with some of his other opinions. And this is probably one of them. The Metal Meltdown made a lot of good points. I'm not going to repeat here because I hate repeating what other people are saying. But I wanted to talk about it because I watched him before, and, obviously I love rock music, I love metal music. So it related to me very closely. But yeah, rock music isn't dead. And everybody who says that, is either chasing clout, which is part of the reason here. Probably he said that. Because that's an interesting thing people talk about a lot now. Gene Simmons, Rick Beato, all these people, rock is dead, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like, great, another headline. Why are we still talking about it? But the underlying of that is, I think that Matt Walsh is annoyed that, all those artists, and it kind of started with the Super Bowl thing with Bad Bunny and all that crap, how all the Republicans are annoyed about that. I think, to his point, that it's not dead per se. He just is annoyed that all of the artists who are trending right now are progressive, in the sense that they don't agree with his political beliefs. So I think that's why he did the video, and also to get clicks. But to address, what he's saying fundamentally, rock is not dead. There's actually very, very short periods of time where rock was actually a mainstream genre, and all the other stuff, rock, metal, punk, all that kind of stuff, for those other long periods of time has been underground. It started in the underground, it was born in the underground, and it will continue to be underground. And this goes back to another video I did a while ago. I forget exactly what that one was called, but in it I discussed how, when all of the giants are gone, like Priest and Maiden and Metallica and AC/DC and all those bands, like I said, we're not gonna, and you can't just look at Spotify numbers like he did in the video and say, they're not selling anymore, therefore rock is dead. They're not trending anymore. There's still a whole lot of bands who are doing crazy stuff for the genres, all the genres included. Whoa, just mixed two words: punk, metal, rock, hard rock, alt metal, alt rock, whatever you want to say. There's all bands in all genres doing stuff that's still, bringing the genre forward and keeping it going. No genre has like really died. I guess I can make an argument that grunge has died, although I'm not a huge grunge fan, so I don't know if there's any new cool grunge bands out there. But that's a different topic for a different video. What I'm trying to say is, whether it dies in the mainstream or not, music still exists, and those genres still exist. And metal and punk and rock definitely do still exist, even though they're not in the mainstream. Just because those bands got old and they faded away, and and now it's just more of the diehard fans who listen to those bands, it doesn't mean it's dead at all. So I think, the rock is dead and the metal is dead, whatever. Those takes are very misguided, and that people are just looking at album sales and stream numbers on Spotify and making those assumptions, which is not a great way to judge that at all, and I disagree with it. Obviously, as a guy who supports all these small bands, the genres are still alive and thriving. And I think if you're actually a fan of the music, obviously I don't think Matt Walsh is, because he doesn't know anything about it. He's just spouting Spotify numbers. I think if you're an actual fan of the music, you'll know that that is not the case. Yeah, kind of a short video, but I just wanted to address those things because it related to me, and I watched Matt Walsh in the past, and I thought it would be fun to talk about. I don't know. But let me know what your thoughts are on it, because it's an interesting thing to talk about and to think about, even though, you know, rock isn't dead and metal isn't dead and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, just a short one. I'm still working on those album reviews. Sorry it's taking a while. Got a lot of shit going on, you know, finishing up high school here soon. So that being said, I'll get them out as soon as I can. I'll hope to start the record label shout outs again in the summer as well. So yeah, with that, hope you're all doing well. Have a nice day. See ya.